some little mini me and Serena Williams took a shot at white people and Caitlin Clark loving white people, but that's okay. That's comedy. That's at an awards show. I ain't mad about it. I ain't mad about it at all, but I'm not mad about the crazy women of the WNBA. Remember when they had Girls Gone Wild and those two brothers started that, and you would see a commercial every single break during the 10 to 2 in the morning hour? And it'd be like college girls in the shower or filming themselves doing stupid stuff. It really was the precursor to social media. Well, we got WNBA Gals Gone Wild. There's a bitter and angry WNBA player named Dejanay Carrington. Now, Dejanay Carrington refuses to give Caitlin Clark any credit because she's white. That's the only reason. And OutKick has the receipts to contradict her opinion. Carrington previously tweeted several messages mocking people for being white. Hey, white is bad. White ain't right, according to Ms. Carrington, and smearing Clark for not sticking up for black people, sharing tweets about wanting her to be injured. I'm going to go from top to bottom here with Ms. Carrington. Dejanay was still in her uniform watching Caitlin Clark highlights. Dejanay responded, close, but no. My girlfriend is on the fever, so I was trying to catch the rest of her game. This is awesome to me. Like, a friend of mine is in town. He was the CEO of a company. Actually, he's in the room over there. He and his wife got in late. And I got to ask him and others, is there any industry where you can just date one of your coworkers? Is there any other? It's the greatest thing ever, these women. It's the greatest thing ever. These women openly date each other, imagine. Now, when I went to Radio 1, they told us you couldn't even compliment someone's shoes. You couldn't even ask where they were from. You couldn't send an email that said guys and fellas. You had to say folks. But now in the WNBA, we could just stoop around, and I'm here for it. The scissors is in play, or whatever else they do. It's got to be frustrating, Anyway, this has nothing to do with Caitlin. This has to do with how nasty you all fans are to call me ridiculous thing for something that is literally just MFers hooping. I was still in my uniform. Okay. I feel like when I retweet and talk about the retweets of WNBA players, I feel like any sense of intelligence leaves my body. I feel like when I watch Joe Biden, or when I used to watch Obama, or when I used to watch George W. Bush talk in rhyme times. I do. I just stared at the camera, George W. Bush, who has a nice tush, who shouldn't be a lush. Oh, wait, that's not right. He used to speak kind of in an iambic pentameter, if you know what that is. But anyway, Dijon, a great name, right? She's named after a mustard. Ms. Carrington continues a racist rant. I'm rooting for everyone black. Don't ask questions. All right, Ms. Carrington. Boy, would it be fun being a white teammate of yours, a white coach of yours? I guarantee once she decides she's no longer a lesbian, she starts stooping a white guy. It's what Serena Williams does. I mean, it's what most do. I saw a meme that said, pray for your light-skinned friends. We're turning white. And I said, prayers accepted. Okay. Ms. Carrington is a genius. She's deep. I feel like I'm at a coffee shop back in the 70s with the hippies, and I'm supposed to go, oh, man. Yeah, Ms. Dijon. Ms. Mustard in the corner with the wrench. How to get away with murder? Be a white man in America. I mean, you could also say, you want to know who murders? Anyway, that's it. She's a genius now. She's a little girl that can't put a ball through a hoop, but somehow, some way gets herself on a team. And now we're supposed to listen to her social justice ramblings. Thank you, Miss Carrington. How to get away with murder? Be a white man in America. Want to guess who murdered? You can answer that question, Miss Carrington. The numbers speak for themselves. The WNBA player who accused Caitlin Clark fans of being racist retweeted a racially charged message mocking anyone for not being black. Imagine not being black. Wow. LMAFO. I don't even, I don't know. I just know this. I just know that Caitlin Clark has people crazy. Caitlin Clark has black women, black lesbians, white lesbians. I don't think white women in the WNBA crazy. I'm going to go tonight to the Caitlin Clark game. The Fever, nice enough. I have friends in town. We're going to go, and I think we're going to sit pretty close. And I can't wait to hear all the sisters talking that yang. How many times will I hear white girl? No, it's amazing. Sports used to be color-free. Sports should be represented by people that have some sense. You shouldn't be able to get to a certain level. I've always said this. I've said NFL players are geniuses. The ones that make it, the ones that are really good. When you hear them speak black, white, they're geniuses. NBA basketball players, while mostly morons, on the court are geniuses. And once they get to a certain age, they become really smart. WNBA players have been exposed as just stupid. I mean, racist, angry, petty. My man called it Jeep. Jealous, entitled, embarrassing, and I forget the other one. That was Michael Thompson. He called it Jeep. He actually, the former number one pick in the draft, Lakers analyst and father of Klay Thompson, actually had an acronym for how awful these women are. You can't swing a dead cat. You cannot. Petty, that's the P, petty. You can't swing a dead cat without some idiot, some lesbian African-American basketball player in the WNBA getting mad about Caitlin Clark and blaming it on everything else. Let me ask you a question. While we're on the topic of these crazy women, whatever happened to the Chicago Sky being, quote, ambushed coming off a bus a few weeks ago? And then you know what happened? A video was shown. It was one guy asking the lady that assaulted Caitlin Clark if she reached out. These women are crazy. I'm here for it, but they're insane. Honest to God. The last thing I'll say about it is this. Keep it coming, ladies. Your level of stupid shows us, the actual rooting public, the sporting public, why this league hadn't been worth a shit for 27 years. It's also shown us that at some point you'll wise up and understand the old adage, rising tide lifts all ships. And that tide is a little white girl, a little white straight girl named Caitlin Clark, who has handled all of this so much better than the entire crazy around her. I salute you with a Florida mug today, Caitlin Clark. Can't wait to see you tonight. Oh, man, last night, the BET Awards, the ESPYs were held. The ESPYs were held, and Serena Williams showed once again that the African-American folks of ESPN don't like diversity of thought. There was a little mini-me named Quinta Brunson. Quinta Brunson chimed in, too. Now, who the hell she is, I do not know. But diversity of thought is not something that's celebrated at ESPN. But I am going to say this. I ain't mad because it's part of a monologue. You're going for a cheap joke. But everybody knows and everybody understands, man, the white Christian's a bad guy. See, not everybody. Most people, black and white, understand the white Christian is not a bad guy. Most people, like when I go to my Kroger and it's filled with African-American and white, everybody gets along. But for the sake of drama, for the sake of social media, and for the sake of the BET ESPY Awards, I can't stop going that route. It's not that way. ESPN and the people that ESPN employs, they don't want diversity of thought. We're all supposed to think like L. Duncan. We're all supposed to think like Jalen Rose used to think. We're all supposed to do that. Well, I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that, and neither do most rational people. You know, most rational people heard Harrison Butker say what he said and thought, you know what, that's a Christian message, and this is black and white. It wasn't about denigrating women. It was about Christian values and the espousal of those values at a Christian school's graduation. Nothing wrong with that, but it is the ESPN. ESPN doesn't like that. That's diversity of thought. ESPN and Connor Shell and Burke Magnus and all the white guys, they don't want that. They want whatever they can get a cheap laugh. And Venus Williams and Mini-Me, Quinta, whatever the hell her name is, listen to little Quinta here. Not now, not ever. Here we go. Play this from last night.
So go ahead and enjoy women's sports like you would any other sports because they are sports.
Yes.
Except you, Harrison Butker. We don't need you.
At all, like ever.
At all, like ever. That's the little mini-me. You didn't get a chance to see her, but she's 5'0". At all, like ever. You just, like, shut up, brat. Like, I get it. Serena Williams went for the cheap joke, but really, it wasn't a joke to her. And that's unfortunate. No, it is. It's really unfortunate because, frankly, Harrison Butker's comments should be celebrated. Like, if ESPN had a soul, I mean, if they really had a soul, they would say, look, we celebrate diversity of thought. You can still make a Harrison Butker joke, but bring him on stage. Let him have a say. See, this is the way the world should be run. The world should be run if you have a real problem, which obviously, Serena Williams did, because the way you say that is bitter, not funny. It got laughs or it got oohs, and that's what you're kind of going for. Look, when you're on stage, and I've given thousands of speeches, you don't really care. You just want the laugh. You just want the audience to feel comfortable with you, particularly when they're paying you to give that speech. But what she did there was angry. What she did there was pent up. Petty, of course, Jeep. That's apparently the way we're going to be now in our society. But it would have been nice if ESPN, if they weren't going for the cheap BET, we'll make fun of the white guy awards, and had actually gone for some common sense, had actually gone for some decency. Make fun of Harrison Butker all you want, but do it right there. And to that little girl who we're never going to know her name, little random midget, Quinta Brunson, your 10 minutes will be up. You'll be gone. And Harrison Butker, I don't know. I think the Chiefs need him. I mean, I would argue this. The most popular sport in our country is football. The most popular sport in our country is NFL football. The best team in the NFL is the Kansas City Chiefs. I would argue that the Kansas City Chiefs need Harrison Butker. Now, whether petty little women who don't espouse to anything other than their own ideology because they could hit a ball across the net really hard, if they don't like it, well, good. But the number one sport in America, the number one team in that sport needs the guy a lot. Like ever. We don't need you. How about, can we go back to that? How about in 2024, women, and only women with an agenda have to tell us that women's sports is actually a sport. I mean, I can go down the list of women way before Serena Williams when I watched it, and guess what I knew? It was a sport. Play that again, and let's hear Venus Williams tell us, because it's a sport. Really? I thought it was a sandwich. Let's hear it again.
So go ahead and enjoy women's sports like you would any other sports because they are sports.
Yes.
Except you, Harrison Butker. We don't need you.
At all, like ever.
Enjoy women's sports because they are sports. Really, until the ESPY Awards, I honest to God thought that when I watched women playing tennis, Yvonne Goolagong, Chrissy Everett, when I watched the Summer Olympics and I saw Mary Lou Retton, Nadia Comaneci, I thought I was watching a shoe. I thought I was watching a couch. I didn't realize I was watching women's sports. I mean, women's sports only started now, according to Serena and Venus and Mini-Me. What the hell? What in the hell was the BET doing, ESPYs doing last night? My God, what a freaking joke. You know, we don't need you like ever. Again, last thing, I know I'm repeating myself, but I didn't mind Serena taking a cheap shot. Yeah, that's what people do that aren't used to being stand-up comic, and you're supposed to get the audience engaged. But the little minute, like ever. Jesus. I hope that woman goes away. I do. I hope whatever show she's on, whatever her little ass, when the body starts to spread out, she'll be gone away, and we will move on like now, like ever. Jesus, I got a headache. I got a headache. I love the way my guys put this. Serena Williams and some nondescript random midget, Quinta Brunson. Nick and Nick, you guys are unbelievable. I'll probably get in trouble for that, but you know what? If I do, don't tell me. I'd rather not know. Fox Sports host and sports talk radio / TV host extraordinaire says it would be a shame. Colin Cowherd, I'm all Joe Biden'd up today, says it would be a shame if sports turned into politics. Too late. Slamming hypocrites for saying we're not allowed to have a discussion about Biden's age and mental acuity, but we're allowed to attack coaches of similar age. Now, before we listen, let's listen to this, and I'll tell you my reaction to this.
Yet in the Democratic Party, it's considered ageist, harsh, mean to have discussions about Joe Biden's age, his mental acuity. I don't know. It feels like the president's a fairly important job. I read that people were caught off guard by his regression. You don't have iPhones? Grow up. Have a real conversation. People were having conversations and questioning it 4 years ago. But in politics, I'm uncomfortable. Not in sports. Not in sports. Dak Prescott. You make Patrick Mahomes money. Win more when it counts. I love Lamar Jackson. Another stinker in the playoffs. Time for real heat. Sean McDermott keeps winning his division. I'm sorry, Josh Allen's too good not to end up in Super Bowls. Those aren't the downsides to it. It's why I defended vigorously the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark discussions. The girls could handle it. The women were fine. It was all the fragile sports media asking weird, dorky questions and being uncomfortable with it. The women were great. Caitlin's going to be fine. Angel Reese is crushing it. And you should push back on fragile sports media. Don't let sports become politics. Again, 5 of the last 8 NBA head coaches. Gonzo. We want more. Dak Prescott. Yes, you win 12 games a year, just none when it matters. So that's my takeaway. 17 days off. Sports has some politics in it. Let's never let it become politics.
Yeah, I don't think they're in danger of it becoming politics. And I will say this. I do think that not being able to discuss Joe Biden's age and mental acuity is out the window. I agree with everything Colin said there, except that part. That's out the window. Like the Democratic Party can say, hey, look, we think it's ageist. They can attach a name to it, like they're attaching now that, Project 2025 or whatever it is. You can attach a name to it. And you can call it ageist. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But the truth of the matter is that's out the window. We have to discuss it now. And there's 2 discussions going on right now relative to President Biden. One, is he coherent? Of course he's not. I mean, even last night when he said that his vice president is no longer Kamala Harris, it's Donald Trump. And, of course, hi, Zelensky. Oh, I mean Putin. Oh, my God, what did I do? Right? Here's the deal. Even when he had his good answers, it's incoherent. It's slurring. And imagine 4 years from now. And that's a legit topic. That's one side of it. That is one side of this. This side is, hey, look, is he coherent? The other side is a little bit what Colin Cowherd is talking about, but in a political realm. The media got caught. See, Greg Doyle and the weirdos that interview Caitlin Clark, they got caught. They got caught being creepy, uncomfortable. They got caught being who they are. Now, the people over here in politics, the pundits, MSNBC, the people around him, CNN, the press secretary, all that are hiding his cognitive decline, well, they got caught, and they're trying to hide. So there's two sides. You can absolutely now, and you should, and you must. The door has been opened after the debate. Everybody saw it. CNN opened the floodgates and said, let's go. Let's take a look at what Joe Biden really is. Not who we have to say he is. And then we got to go back, and we got to scrub ourselves because those people in the media of politics hid this, and now they're scrambling. So I get what Cowherd's saying. And you know what? In terms of coaches, hey, I've always thought it's fair game. I always thought it's fair game to ask a coach, look, man, you're 72 years old. You're going to be 76 when I graduate. You going to be here? Now, that's not the conversation of the day. The conversation of the day, let's say Nick Saban was still at Alabama. The conversation of the day is this. Well, how much money do I make? That's the conversation of the day, okay? So it's no longer, it used to be, where am I playing? Where would I live? What's the meal plan? What kind of workout facility? How many people do you get to your game? Well, you know, how old are you, Coach? Are you going to be here? Are you going to retire? Are you going to go to TV? Hell, I asked Coach Knight that back in the 80s because there was rumors he was going to go to CBS. So those used to be the thing, but that's not now. Now it is, how much money am I going to make? What's my NIL number? And we all know it. Like every coach knows, hell, my son's a coach, and when he talks to a recruit, he goes, you know, I'm sorry, I wasted 45 minutes of my life talking to this kid about all the things that I just mentioned when I should have just let off with an NIL thing. No, seriously. But anyway, no, the world that we live in has changed. Colin is right, but certainly, we, the age of the president, man, when you open that floodgate, boom, boom. I wonder if there will be a time when it is okay for white people to fire back at racism from African Americans. I wonder. I don't know. Maybe not. I agree. Don't let sports become politics. Turn off ESPN. I like what Harry Douglas had to say on ESPN. Speaking of ESPN Radio's Harry Douglas, former player, said he couldn't believe Mike Gundy. Said he couldn't believe Mike Gundy could be so oblivious to what he'd say, adding that if he were a recruit looking at OSU, he'd be rethinking the decision. Remember, Gundy came out in defense of his star running back who got a DUI. And he said, well, you know what? I did the math. 0.08. The running back was 0.1. 0.01, 0.1, whatever the hell it is. But yeah, 0.1. And he said, it's 3 or 4 drinks, get in your car, drive. I've done that, quote, 1,000 times. All right. Well, here's what Harry Douglas on ESPN Radio had to say.
I am now convinced in 2024, people are getting dumber by the year. I really am convinced by that, because for a head coach in college football to be this tone deaf and to be oblivious to the situation that just happened with Kyrie Jackson and him and multiple people losing their lives, the situation that happened with Henry Ruggs that led to people losing their lives as well. And then you look at Andy Reid and his son, what happened in that situation as well, right? There are multiple of examples that should tell Mike Gundy to not say what he said during the Big 12 Media Day. Like, I just don't understand why this would come out of his mouth. And for a guy that's been a head coach at Oklahoma State University since 2005, you cannot be that oblivious to the times and how reckless drinking and driving is. To sit up there in front of people and say, I thought to myself, I've probably done this 1,000 times, which you probably have, but I just don't think that's the right messaging. For the player to seem like the bigger adult in this situation is sad for me to say. And if I'm a parent and I'm thinking about sending my kid to Oklahoma State University, I have second thoughts now.
I agree. Like, I don't know if I have second thoughts depending on my NIL number. I mean, if I'm going to keep it real, then I'm going to keep it real. But I do agree that, it's just stupid, regardless of what you are behind closed doors, regardless of if you've done 1,000 times. Your messaging can't be that if you are an intelligent person. And I'm glad Harry Douglas prefaced it with that. I'm glad he prefaced it with, look, we're getting dumber all the time. You know what we're getting? We're getting comfortable. We're getting we're getting a lack of accountability all the time. See, back in the day, and that day was not so long ago, it wasn't like 20 years. I'm talking about maybe 5 years. Guy gets a DUI, coach comes out strong because he's trying to teach him a lesson. Now in the day, guy gets a DUI, coach is making sure he kisses his ass. Why? So that other recruits and other players will say, yo, man, coach has our back. Hey, coach got your back. He's got my back. Look what he did for the running. You know what I mean? And it's asinine because that's not how leaders lead. I should write a book on leadership, although it would give me a headache to write. Leaders lead by setting an example. Leaders lead by raising a bar. Leaders don't lead by lowering the bar, by giving in, by acquiescing. They just don't. Certainly, there is a flexible bar. You give, you take, but there are some things that are non-negotiable. And one of those is anything that you do that impacts other lives. Meaning, I'm going to drive drunk. I could crash. I could kill myself. I don't know what I can do. And regardless of whether you have driven drunk, regardless of whether you've done it, quote, 1,000 times, leadership dictates that you put on a facade, if you must. And that facade is, look, this is unacceptable. Because here's simply this. Okay, Gundy maybe has done it 1,000 times. I'm sure he has. But he hasn't been caught. Hadn't been arrested. Now, does it make it right? Nope. But he hadn't been arrested. So it's really not a facade. We cannot have a player get arrested for DUI. I will not tolerate this. We're going to be better than this. He's going to be punished. That's all you really got to do. I mean, you really don't have to do anything other than that to send a message. Now, remember, I said this before, I'll say this again. Everybody's got their nation. It's Cowboy Nation. And they hang on every word of the old ball coach. All right? Okay, fine. So the word is, hey, it's all right, man. As long as you go to a press conference. It's all right. Hey, I wish if Coach Knight would have told me when I played, Dakich, you get a DUI, I'm going to play you 40 minutes, and I'm going to make you take 25 shots. Whoo, I'd sign up. I'd be drinking and driving every night. You crazy? Hell no. It's crazy. Seriously. Man, that's what Gundy said. Gundy said, I'm going to punish him by bringing him to a press conference. Hell, I always wanted to go to the Big Ten press conference. He always took Alford or Whitman or one of the good players. I always wanted to shoot 20, 25 times. What the hell? I wanted to play 40 minutes. So Gundy's going to make this running back carry the ball 50 times. Sign me up, baby. Stephen A. Smith, could it be a show if we didn't have Stephen A. Smith? Could it? I don't think so. Apparently, Stephen A. Smith moves the needle. He's legitimately and weirdly ecstatic about Jaylen Brown not making the Olympic team, not being called on to replace Kawhi Leonard and go to Paris with the Olympic team. All right, he jumped on X to relish in the Celtics star not having his name called. Do y'all believe me now? Yo, Jaylen Brown, do I need to reveal my sources now? It's not obvious now. How in the hell is a $300 million max player, now a champion, MVP finals, who's clearly a top 2 player on the Celtics and a top 15 player in the world, not chosen for Team USA? Because his teammate, not named Tatum, is selected before him. Come on, y'all. I don't know. I don't know. Apparently, Jaylen Brown thinks it's because of Nike. I think it's because Jaylen Brown's too smart. Jaylen Brown seems to be insinuating that Nike kept him off the Olympic team because he's not a Nike athlete. He was with Adidas, hasn't signed a deal in a brand yet. I'd be pissed, too, if I just won the finals MVP. My role player teammate got selected for the Olympics. I'd be pissed. Let's show that again. I'd be pissed. Why wouldn't you be pissed? I don't know. I mean, I'm not afraid of you or your resources. This is what we doing. I would prefer he say this is what we're doing. This is what I would say. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. Look, guys that couldn't play, that are in the media now acting like they could play and beefing with those who do play makes my ass tired. It just does. So I don't know why Jaylen Brown was kept off. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I do know why Derek White was put on because he's terrific. But the politics that goes into it. One day, I think I told you all this before, Mike Krzyzewski, my son was at their basketball camp. Mike Krzyzewski invited me up to his palace. So I went up there, and he was incredibly generous with his time. Spent 2 hours talking about everything. We talked about everything, and the Olympics came up. And one of the things that came up about the Olympics was getting guys to play and how he and Jerry Colangelo, who were running the Olympics at the time, got guys to play. And then all the process they went through to get ready. It's a process. So I'm not going to pretend to say that Jaylen Brown was kicked off for any reason other than he didn't fit the process. Whatever that meant. Maybe that was shoe company. Maybe that was practice. Maybe that was teammates. Maybe LeBron kept him off. Maybe this was an Isaiah Michael thing. I don't know. But you know and I know, ladies and germs, there's always a backstory. There is. Always. Always. Never sort of, kind of. There always is. And if you don't think there is, guess what? You're nuts. You're absolutely nuts. Speaking of the NBA, here's the deal. There's a journeyman player. His name is Stephen Hunter. And Stephen Hunter is not happy. Stephen Hunter is not happy that I'm sorry, this just makes me laugh. He's mad about the Lakers picking up LeBron James' son. He's not happy. Okay. What aren't you happy about? Well, he says Bronny's spot on the roster, coupled with a fully guaranteed multi-year deal, has been awarded, not earned. Oh, really? Okay. Well, for those that don't know, late second-round picks, and he's not wrong about this. Now, let me get into this. You can keep that up. Don't worry about me. You can keep that up. But late second-round picks don't get guarantees, especially before Summer League. They don't. You're right. You're absolutely right. Now, if you get into Summer League and you're pretty good, hey, sometimes you do get a contract. That's how my man, Duncan Robinson got his contract. All right, so Stephen Hunter says, look, late second-round picks don't get guarantees. Typically, late second-round picks don't get 4-year guaranteed roster deals either. That wasn't earned. I'm sorry. And it's an egregious abuse of power from LBJ, LeBron James and Rich Paul. It's a slap in the face to all the kids out there who work their asses off to get to the league. It's sneaky Hollywood-ish like this that turns a lot of people off about LeBron. It's just another example of what they are talking about right when you try to like him. Oh, he's true. He's right about that. Oh, he's really right about that. This is why most people prefer MJ or Kobe over him, because you at least know MJ or Kobe going to be straight shooters. Wait a sec. Does everybody gloss over the fact that Kobe Bryant went to trial on rape and settled it by giving a big cash payment and a non-disclosure agreement to a woman that he allegedly raped in a Colorado hotel? And that his agent told my family, hey, look, man, we knew when Kobe was going to be there. They told every woman in that hotel, don't be there because he was a predator, but he's going to shoot you straight. Okay. That gets me fired up because the whole Kobe Bryant is the greatest guy in the world thing is crap. Anyway, trust me, MJ could have gotten one of his sons in the league if he chose to abuse his power. Well, MJ wasn't in the league when they were coming up. I recruited one of his sons. He wasn't in the league. But he didn't, because MJ stands on earned, not given, and he never would have given his son a sense of entitlement, which is what LeBron James did with Bronny, not taking anything away from Bronny. You just did take away from Bronny. What are you talking about? Nor am I upset with Bronny. Okay, I get that. Just know this is a manipulation of our league and the integrity of what it truly takes to get there. Well, you're not wrong about that. And Stephen Howard was a 15th pick of the NBA draft. Good for Stephen Howard, man. He went to a really good high school, Proviso East. I remember recruiting that high school. Michael Finley was at that high school. Doc Rivers went to that high school. Donnie Boyce, Shannon Brown, Sterling Brown. A bunch of really good players went to that high school. So, yeah, he's not wrong. But I say, and I'm not criticizing Stephen Hunter, I'm glad he spoke up. If that's the way he feels, hey, good for him. But I would say this, he's earned the right. I would say LeBron James has earned the right to get the 55th pick in the draft, drafted by his son. I think he has. Has he earned the right to get the coach hired? No. Has he earned the right to overstep everything the NBA should stand for and get J.J. Redick hired? I don't think so. I absolutely don't. I think it's egregious that they got the coach hired, but I don't mind getting the kid hired. I think it's good for the NBA. I think a lot of eyes are going to the NBA summer camp, which normally they do, and I think a lot of eyes will be on the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, you're going to tell me, well, wait a second. Eyes are always on the L.A. Lakers. Maybe. But the fact of the matter is, I ain't mad at it because I think LeBron's earned it. I could be wrong. You guys could be right. I could be wrong, and it wouldn't be the first time. But I'm not mad at it. And I'm not mad at Stephen Hunter. Look, I believe that when you talk about things like this, you can have two sides and have a rational discussion. And it feels like to me Stephen Howard is being very rational here. LeBron is manipulating the league. LeBron is giving his son an opportunity that a lot of kids work their ass off for, and one spot is gone. There's no question about it. But see, I think LeBron's earned it. And as to MJ, maybe he could have manipulated that. Maybe he didn't think about it. Now, Michael was out of the league when Marcus and Jeffrey came up. Those are his sons. So it's not quite the same. But Michael did own a team. And Michael could have said, yo, Marcus, get off Larsa Pippen. Get off her. And go run in the beach. Go get ready. I'm going to give you a tryout on my team, the Charlotte Hornets. Maybe his kids didn't love basketball. Maybe Jeffrey and Marcus Jordan are exactly what LeBron had talked about. Hey, he talks about this with Bronny. He don't need basketball. He can go do something else. But he loves hoops. I don't know that Jeffrey and Marcus did. But Michael could have told one of them, look, I'll get you a tryout. Never did. So, hey, look, I get it. Stephen Hunter is absolutely right with his side. I feel I'm absolutely right with mine, and it's just a discussion. But you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is what already is happening. Bronny James is out there hooping. People are out there watching. We're criticizing, we're praising, depending on which side of the fence is, and it's good theater, and it's going to ultimately end in a game with LeBron James and Bronny James on the court at the same time. You can make book on that.